Today, we're talking about the rankings of the starting five for the Chicago Bulls heading into this season. We're also going to be talking about Matas Buzelis and what is next, and really what should we expect from Matas Buzelis this upcoming season. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Matas Buzelis slam dunks in games. And so in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it, as we're going to start off with a little fair or foul around the starting five for the Chicago Bulls. And so if you've not got a chance to see this, this was recently posted here on ClutchPoints. And so if you want to check this article out, it's ranking all 30 NBA teams projected starting five. And Brett Siegel writes this, and he has the Chicago Bulls ranked at number 26. And so we're going to go ahead and take a look at what he had to say here. And so not going to read it all, but picking it up on that second paragraph, it says that not much has changed in Chicago since the 24-25 season ended, other than trading Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro, who will get plenty of opportunities on the wing. Looking ahead, the goal is likely to have Matas Buzelis and rookie Noah Asingay start alongside one another late in the 25-26 season. And it says that it is clear that the Bulls are still shuffling through options on their roster, which is why they will be busy before the trade deadline. Nikola Vucevic, Patrick Williams, and Ayo Dosunmu are all viable trade candidates for a team looking to forge an identity. All right, so that leads us to the fair or foul. And so I think that this is very much foul. I do not think that the Chicago Bulls should be ranked this low. And I just think that really they're not given enough credit. And I do like the fact that, you do mention Isaac Okoro in this, because he is going to be a huge factor as to why I would rank this team a little bit higher with their starting five, because, definitely if he gets into the starting lineup for sure, you have to think about that. But even if the Chicago Bulls go with just really their same unit from a year ago, this is a team that was very hot to finish out the season. And I know that it didn't end the way that obviously we wanted it to as fans. We wanted to see this team, fight and get out of the play-in and just qualify, but it didn't happen. But I love the ending there. And I think that really just a lot of people are overlooking the fact that the Bulls kept their roster together and they quietly got better. And so I've talked about this on several videos. Isaac Okoro coming over is going to help this team defensively. And Ayo Dosunmu is a player that I think a lot of people are not thinking about as far as contributing to this team in a major way. It's almost like we have gone out and got another free agent because he wasn't with us a season ago and he wasn't with us during that run. And so, I'm super excited to see what Ayo Dosunmu is going to do, because once he does get the opportunity, he's coming in, he's hungry, he's coming off that shoulder injury. I think he said before that he wants to start. And that, look, he can be a player that can very much close down games for the Chicago Bulls. And I just think that he helps the bottom line for this team as far as getting a team identity. That's number one. You're helping out with the consistency. And so talking about this team staying together. And then, next, you're talking about a defined playing style, which is really why I think the Chicago Bulls are really being overlooked here, is because the Bulls are coming in on the second year now in this offense. And I think that the first year we saw like a lot of turnovers and things like that. And understandably, because you're starting to play fast, you're a younger team. And really, I've said this before a lot of times, that you have to learn how to lose before you learn how to win. I think that happens. And so just looking at this, in the offense and stuff like that, you got to figure out ways where it just goes wrong before you go, okay, this is not going to work. This is how it works. And so I think that these players now, they're coming back in this system. They're going to be a lot more comfortable. They're going to understand their reads, and they're going to understand their keys, and understand that they don't just have to sit there in the corner, wait for the threes and just kind of line up for those things. They can actually cut off of the movement that they're going to get in the fast break and stuff like that. And they can get some easy baskets. And just talking about the defense, just looking at just some of their rankings here, this is why, I think their starting five has a chance to really kind of move up here, especially if we're just looking at this ranking. So just to be clear, this is an article ranking. This is not the NBA, but still, again, I just talked about just the consistency in the offense. And so I think that you're going to see the turnovers go down because they understand really more what to do with this offense. They will probably understand, like, look, this is not the time to run. We need to get down to Vooch and let him go to work. And so I think that that's going to take your turnovers down there. And then when you look at just the steals per game, you just talked about that with Isaac Okoro coming over. He's going to help you generate some steals. Ayo Dosunmu is going to help you generate some steals. And I think Patrick Williams understands that he's going to have to step it up here. And so you're hoping that you get the same type of defense that you saw within him in the past. And so that's going to help you there. The block shots, that can be a little tricky. And I think that that's really where you're relying on a guy like Matas Buzelis to step up, which we're going to talk about him in a moment. But I said this just a couple videos ago as well, that I think that with Matas Buzelis, really there's some untapped potential with him defensively. He's already shown that he can definitely block some shots. And I just wonder, again, is he going to be more of just a rim protector type of block, a rim protector when it comes to blocking shots? Or is he going to be a player that's able to get the on-ball blocks? Or is he a player that can get both of those? Because, that's going to help you just as far as getting shot blocks and stuff like that. And so he's a player that I think a lot of people are kind of overlooking his defense. And I think a lot of people do sleep on Kevin Huerter too as well. Yes, he's not the best individual defender, but he's terrific, I think, as a team defender. He understands concepts and things like that. And so point being, I think that it's foul. I don't think that the Bulls should be ranked this low. But anyway, you guys let me know in the comments, should the Bulls starting five be ranked 26 going into this upcoming season? And once again, this was in a ClutchPoints article. And so next, I wanted to talk about Matas Buzelis and talking about really what is the next step for Matas Buzelis? Like, what should we expect from him this season? And so, I just talked about the defense with Matas Buzelis, and I think that that's something that really is overlooked. I do think that defensively we will see some more from Matas Buzelis. I really do. I think that there's the opportunity for his steals to go up. I do think that you're going to see more block shots as well. And I think that he's a player that can be disruptive off the ball. I think that that can happen. And so that's why I think the steals are going to be there. I think he's already shown the ability to come through with the help side blocks. And so I think you're going to see some more of that with the opportunities. But I think it's going to be more so, can he step up as an on-ball defender? And so for all the strength and just all the muscle and things that he put on this offseason, to kind of handling the ball and stuff like that, I think it's going to help him defensively and really getting over the screens and really kind of maneuvering, through on defense and just making it tough for opposing offenses to score and things like that. And so I do expect for him to take the step forward. I think he could be a guy that gets up to right around like I'm going to say 6 or 7 with the steals. I think that he could definitely get into getting a block or more a game. I do see that. And then, when it comes down to his point totals, you look at just the entire season and it has 8.6. But remember, down the stretch, he averaged double figures. And so I think that Matas Buzelis is headed to at least, I think, anywhere from 15 to 20 points a game. And so I know 20 points a game is going to be a stretch, but I think 15 points a game is something that Matas Buzelis can definitely get to. And I think that we are looking to see just how crafty he can be on the offensive end, because when he first came in, look, he was just, shooting the 3 ball and everything else. And so I think that you're going to see him really start to get to the cup. I love his Euro step and stuff like that. So I think he's going to get a chance to really kind of get into his bag that way. And I just think that you wonder, can Matas Buzelis really become like just an inside out type of scorer? Can he be a 3-level scorer, a guy that knocks down 3-point shots? And so I do think that he could take his percentage up to maybe 38% this year. And I also think that like he can get getting into a mid-range. And so I do think that he can get that because he's pretty smooth off the handle. And the question with him is as far as like taking this major step forward, is can he be a player that's more of a playmaker? Like, I want to see that. And so I know that Josh Giddey is going to have the ball, a lot, and I understand that. But there's going to be some opportunities for Matas Buzelis to work off of Coby White and Josh Giddey. One of the stats that I saw here actually on another Clutch Point article where they were talking about Matas Buzelis and how he could possibly really shock and be a breakout here is it said that he had 79 assists and 74 turnovers. And so I think about that from a playmaker standpoint and just wondering, okay, can he be a player that he gets more assists and obviously cuts down the turnovers? And then also too, as far as his baskets and assisted baskets, can he be a player that, if things get in trouble on the offensive end, can he be a guy that you give him the basketball and he's able to go to work on the offensive end and get you a bucket? So I think if we see those type of things, it would really show that this is a player that is headed towards a superstar. Make no mistake about it. Look, I do think that Matas Buzelis is going to take a step forward. I would love to see this guy turn into a franchise player, not going to put that much pressure on him into year two. But I do think that, look, these numbers, he can certainly come up. Like I said, I think he's a guy that can be into the 15-point range. I do think that he's a player that can get to 38% shooting the three ball. He shot 36% in his first year, and he shot 81% from the free throw line. And so, if he gets the ball in his hands some more, he's going to get some opportunities to get to the free throw line. And I do expect for him to help us more on the rebounding as well. And so only 3.5 was his average. Once again, that was his entire average for the season. Doesn't really tell the full story, especially when he, really got a chance to start towards the end of the season. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here, what do you think the next step is for Matas Buzelis? Do you think that he can take, those steps forward on the offense and the defensive side of the ball? Then also too, let me know what you guys are thinking. Again, the fair or foul with the Chicago Bulls starting five. Do you think that they should have been ranked as low as 26? Do you think that they should have been much higher? Again, regardless of how you're looking at this, if you're looking at this like, hey, they have the starting five that they had from a season ago, or, even if they do make the wrinkle here in the starting lineup and then they put either Ayo Dosunmu or Isaac Okoro in there, I still think that this is a lineup that is much better than 26. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.